Yeah, I've ticked every box so far this week. The side's obviously been a troublesome area for me, in the past. So sort of you can lean on the side of caution, I guess, a little bit, but it's very minor compared to the last few I've had. Obviously got Scotty there who does a fantastic job every time he plays. So I guess that sort of makes a little bit the decision easier sometimes. You sort of got to be pretty much 100% to play, and if not, Scotty's there to go. So yeah, it makes it a bit easier.
Pat said you and he sort of looked at it during the Perth test, and you were aware that if you push through it, it could add weeks to the possibility of how long it take to come back.
Yeah, exactly right. I think I've probably done that in the past. I remember the time in quarantine before the Ashes, I probably pushed it for quite a while, and then the time against the West Indies, I think it was in Perth. I think Pat did his quad and we had to bowl a few more overs, so it sort of feels every over you bowl in that situation sort of adds another few days every time. So yeah, lucky enough to be able to pull up a little bit earlier than scheduled. So yeah, it feels very minor, and this week has felt pretty good so far.
Sort of explain what it is. How does it actually work?
Sorry?
How does it work? Just a side strain of the sorts?
Yeah, it's not necessarily your typical side strains, which I've had a couple in my career. You run in and bowl one ball and you just grab your hat and you're off and you're out for 6 weeks. That's not that sort of side strain. It's from sort of repetitive use, and I've got not much room in that side between the bottom rib and the hip. So yeah, it's been a bit of it's caused me a lot of trouble, I guess, over the last few years. But perfect prep this year and played the Shield game and ticked all that off, and I was very happy where I was, and it sort of still happened. So I was a little bit pretty annoyed there for a few days, but there was plenty of meetings and stuff from CA's point of view and physios, doctors, all that stuff. So we'll come up with a few options and see if we can stop it from happening again.
A day or two before the test, bowling at a reasonable clip out in the middle. A, how close were you to actually playing? And B, was the tight turnaround between tests a factor in the thinking there? Between here and Brisbane?
Yeah, yes and no. I think if this was the last test of the summer, I could have potentially ran the gauntlet and played. I think I would have been in a pretty bad state by the end of the game, even though it was only a short. Just wasn't quite right, I don't think. Only bowled off maybe 3/4 that day, and then bowled again day one, and we'll bowl again tomorrow. So yeah, tomorrow's a sort of big day and 2 spells and all that sort of stuff, and tick a few boxes.
Josh, were you a bit surprised to be the starting point for a discussion about how united or otherwise the team was?
Yeah, a little bit surprised. Walking out of that press conference was, I thought nothing of it. It was a normal one for me, and yeah, I was pretty surprised how things ended up. But I think obviously the dead air there for a while was, 10 days between games is something to talk about. But yeah, I think that stuff's all done now.
On that turnaround, Josh, did the longer turnaround help you all just to decompress after that defeat? And on the flip side, having got a big win here, does the shorter turnaround maybe help you carry that into Brisbane momentum?
I think you can make those arguments with a less experienced team. I think we've played enough cricket now, at this level. We've been together for a long time now, and ups and downs, and whether it lasts 10 days or 3 days, I don't think that really worries this sort of team. But I think I definitely see that point, with a young, inexperienced team, and so long between games after a heavy loss could cause some issues. But I think this team's very level and stays relaxed pretty well.
A couple of years ago, you had a similar situation heading into Boxing Day. It was a touch and go, and you made the call at the last minute. Do you feel that experience, does that experience shape what your decision could be this time around at all? That if it is really close, that you will make that call again? Yeah,
I think, with history with this one, I think I'm very well aware of the area and how the feelings are and what sort of pain it is and how I can get through sessions and what that means. So I'm, very experienced with this one, and I guess that makes my decisions a little bit easier, and I know what I can get through and what I can't, and if I'm ready or not. So yeah, I guess that experience is the positive in this regard, yeah.
Is it a good trend for the bowling group that you've kept India down basically 3 innings out of 4, and the other one was probably just from a short turnaround of the game? Yeah,
I think so. I think you can take a lot of confidence from those innings, 3 out of 4 as you mentioned. Scores are typically low here in the pink ball games, although we got a decent score. But I think the further you go into the series, you start to get those matchups and who's on top of who and vice versa. And I think it's definitely a positive, yeah.
Is there anything that raised your eyebrows during the first test around the way India celebrated wickets?
No, I don't think so. They're a passionate team. We've played with and against them for a long time now, and you see it in full flight in the IPL. The crowds just love that sort of stuff. So, I've seen it all before.
Perhaps a surprise that that's something in Brisbane last year. Does it pose any differences? So we go from here to Brisbane.
In terms of
this is a venue.
I think, I think we always play pretty well in Brizzy. I think the last test was obviously pink balls, a little bit different up there. The pink ball gets quite soft in Brisbane quite early on, with the wicket being quite hard. Doesn't have that thatchy grass that we see here at Adelaide. So back to the red ball there, which I think suits us. We obviously haven't won recently up there, but I guess it's a place we like to play. It suits our guys. Again, it's an experienced team, so we've all been there before a lot of times. Yeah, it's probably more just the time difference, the going from day-night, sleeping in, your sleeping patterns, getting that adjusted, so getting back on track.
Just wanted to you guys, Coley, is it a situation where you've faced him so often, it's almost like he knows where you're going to try to bowl, you know where he's going to try to hit or not hit, and it's just a case of whether the conditions vary it or whatnot?
Yeah, I think it just comes down to who executes well on the day, whether he leaves you well until the ball gets soft or someone else comes on the bowls and doesn't bowl quite well enough. I think there's a lot of matchups like that throughout international cricket. You know, we've played each other so much. If you've been around for 10 years, you pretty much know each other inside and out. And again, it's all about execution. You can plan all you want, but just nailing that area when you're bowling and leaving well and playing the right shots when you're batting. So it's very small things all the time.
Is it with him in particular? Is it just I suppose important to be patient in that sort of fifth, sixth sort of stump corridor, not trying to attack the stumps too much? Yeah,
I think there's different players in different teams, and there's some players you have to be really patient with, and there's other players who sort of come at you, so you can, you don't have to be as patient and you don't have to stick there as long, but they're dangerous because they can score. So I don't think batters are probably as patient as they were 10 years ago. They like to feel that bat on ball more, and we've seen that the way England play and even players in the Indian team with Pant and Reddy and guys like that. So it's a very case by case when you're bowling at a player.
You mentioned Scotty at the beginning. Do you just sit back and admire what he's able to do when he comes in? Obviously, it's been a couple of summers since he's played at home. Comes in, could easily have had a wicket first ball in both innings. Do you just sit back and watch that with admiration?
I do, yeah. It's I think just the admiration is he just sticks to his guns. He does his job. He doesn't try and be anyone else. Whether he's playing for Victoria or Australia, it's the same thing. It's the same areas. We've seen him take multiple wickets in overs. So I think once he gets on a roll, it's just bang, bang, bang. And in these conditions, pink ball under lights, there's not many better.
You've been through a few of these side issues before. Tomorrow when you do your session, is it have to be hit top speed, or is it being able to come back after a spell? What's the sort of things that you know that you're right to go?
Yeah, a bit of both, really. I think the session will be right. I think it'll be how I pull up in the 24 hours following it, really. So it's just that repetitive, obviously 2 spells, makes a big difference of cooling down pretty much fully and then going again in the same day, and the intensity's got to be right up there as well. So a few boxes to tick tomorrow, but again, it's probably the 24 hours that follow. Pulling up again the next day and thinking, yep, I'd be right to go again if I had to.
How's Nate going with his workloads after he's over?
Actually shook my hand earlier and said, I had the same week as you. I said, no, I actually bowled out of the back. So I think I did more than him.
You play with Mohamed Siraj at RCB?
Yep.
Yeah. What's he like as a teammate and a guy behind the scenes, just giving you seen a certain side of him this week?
No, he's great. I really enjoyed my time at RCB with Siraj. He's probably the leader of the attack there to a degree, and he loves he's another one who's a bit like Virat, very passionate. Goes with the flow of the game, gets the crowd up, all that sort of stuff. Bowled some serious spells in the IPL in the last few years for sure. So he's just a good character, I think, and it's good to see sometimes.
With this, I was just going to say, with the side, can you play golf with it?
I think I'm booked in tomorrow, so hopefully, pending on the session tomorrow, I'll get through that and then get some time on the legs walking 18. So full day of Test cricket.